I'm Allison, and this is Dream Anyway, a podcast for those of us who feel the pull to create, even when the path isn't clear. So wherever you are in your journey, grab a coffee, get comfy, and dream anyway.
I'm Don Hamilton. I'm a commercial photographer and filmmaker, and now the proprietor of the Hamilton Studio Listening Room. I've been in Spokane since Christmas Eve, 1979.
Have you been a photographer the whole time?
Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. When I moved up, that's what I decided I'd do.
Moved from where?
Southern California, Huntington Beach, actually.
What got you into photography?
Well, I'd sort of always done it. My mom put a camera in my hand when I was very young, still cameras and movie cameras. And so I always played with them. And then I discovered in college that I could make money doing family portraiture down in Newport Beach while I was studying theater. And I worked in the theater for a long time at the South Coast Repertory. And when I made my big move up here, I just decided to do just photography. And then we added filmmaking some years later, like in 85.
You've had a long history here.
Oh, yeah.
Do you have any favorite things you've done? Any favorite projects you've worked on?
Well, I suppose since you asked that, the first thing that came into my mind was when I was an actor in Benny Joon. We read in the media, heard on the television that a Hollywood company was coming up here to make a movie, and they were going to bring big stars, Mary Stuart Masterson, Aidan Quinn, Johnny Depp, and they were going to cast some local actors in a few roles. And so they were going to cast the video store owner. Remember video stores?
I do.
They were going to cast the video store owner and the UPS man. And so I thought, So 4,000 people turned out for the auditions. And I went to the front of that 4,000 person line, and I had a clipboard and a cardboard box. And I said, I'm looking for casting director Rick Montgomery. And I said, oh, that's easy. You just go through here, through the wardrobe department, through the set shop. You'll find casting there in the back. So I went in there and I had Rick sign for the box. And then I got out of there because UPS men don't hang out. Anyway, it might have been an hour later, whenever it was, he opened the box and inside was my 8x10 and resume.
Oh, smart.
And so I ended up getting the role of the UPS man, and I'm still getting residual checks. That was a favorite project of mine.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. I love theater. I did a resume once that was a playbill, and it was Allison Wonderland, because my last name's Allison. I got the job too, just doing something creative, standing out.
Well, you're creative. This is theater, what we're doing right now. And of course, your photography is also terribly theatrical.
Oh, yeah. I really like photographing people in theater because they're so emotive.
Well, that's really where I started doing it, was working in the theater and photographing stage productions. And I did a lot of that down at the South Coast Rep.
I'm always telling people, don't just smile at me, like think of somebody or think of something so you have an actual emotion. What do you think about photographing people in portraits and stuff like that?
Well, that's a piece of my business. I mean, human beings are fascinating. The thing about being a photographer in the space with another human being and having that interaction. Somebody said of Cartier-Bresson that at the moment of exposure, he becomes invisible. And so that's one kind of photography where you're doing candid stuff. But then there's this other thing when you are in the presence of the person and you change the person by being in the presence. And I don't know, it's an interesting dynamic. It's part of the game. But there are times, of course, where the goal is to put people at ease and to sometimes have them forget that you're there. I mean, that's the trick.
Yeah, it's very intimate.
Oh, yeah. How many portraits or how many sessions do you do in a week?
Oh, well, I think you know that last year I got diagnosed with cancer. And so it's incurable. And for a year, I didn't get off the couch. I went through chemo. So we moved into here at late February and opened April. And I'm just going till I can't go anymore.
Well, no, you're on fire.
It's keeping me alive. It's keeping me off the couch. It's keeping me going. Making art is saving my life, I feel like. I'm doing a series right now, so I'm doing probably like one a day. But that's not normal. I do need some rest days.
I've been on your site and I'm just so impressed with all your work. Yeah, one a day, that's all. Seems like you're doing 10 a day.
I know,
but yeah.
I know. And I just love it though. I can't wait to edit. I can't wait to see what I've created. Do you still have that feeling or no?
Well, I've been doing it for a while. I can remember when you used to have to get your hands wet to make a photograph.
Yeah, I had a dark room in high school.
Yeah, didn't we both?
Yeah.
People sometimes say to me, don't you miss film? No, not at all.
Me either.
And
why don't you miss film?
Ansel Adams said that the negative is the score and the print is the performance. Well, these days I say the capture is the score and then the final edit is the performance.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just so much you can do in Lightroom and Photoshop. And I'm just scratching the surface in it.
I so appreciate what I'm able to do.
And suddenly, for instance, you remember black and white photography. You remember when you would put your negative in the carrier and in the enlarger, and then you'd have to choose the contrast grade you'd want to use. And then you'd make your exposures and perhaps do some burning and dodging. And then, it took quite a bit to make it happen. And now you just throw the digital capture and you just click on contrast. It's
amazing.
Yeah, we're playing with the toys of the gods. There's so much that can be done, but I think you and I, the trick is to reveal the individual, not to make something new of their pieces. I used to do a thing here a couple of years ago called the picture. That was what amounts to what people are doing these days all the time with the cell phone or other things putting themselves on camera. Everybody's a filmmaker these days. Everybody's a photographer and everybody's an actor.
How do you feel about that?
There continues to be, mercifully, a place for a professional. We were talking about the experience. And so whether I'm doing filmmaking or I'm doing photography, and again, filmmaking, sometimes we're working with actors and we're inventing characters. Often we're interviewing people and trying to reveal their truth, as it were, as a talking head. And the experience, I think the thing that remains for me, and I hope will remain in the age of AI, is the experience of being with that person, of setting up the lights and the camera and the situation, and then having the person be comfortable enough that they can reveal themselves. Mm-hmm. And these days, a common process for me is to shoot the video and to shoot the stills on the same set at the same time. And so it's a similar assignment for both halves of that.
I don't know if you've heard this term. There's a photographer and then there's a guy with a camera.
Yeah.
I have noticed that people don't necessarily care about the beautiful lighting I've created. They don't even notice it, actually.
How can that be? Maybe when they get the pictures, they got to say, wow.
I have seen people who are just like totally okay with whatever picture. They're like, oh my God, that picture's so beautiful. And I'm thinking, but the lighting's so poor. Does that not bother you at all? It's just not something that you've thought of.
Sometimes my assignment is to, again, I think you are so good, but sometimes my assignment is to make it seem like it wasn't a photography session. Make it seem like journalism. It just depends on the project. Yeah.
I was asked recently to do a photo where it wasn't my style and I wanted the challenge, but then also wanted it to be me. So I'm fighting that. Like I would like to maybe expand what I think I know, but like if it was not the style that I like, was it even my photography?
Yeah.
It's somebody else's vision, I guess, is what the problem is.
I have a sort of a default setting in my studio, which is, I'm ripping off the look of Jean Vermeer. If you look at his paintings, everything's lit with one window, and a bounce off of the wall or the other side of the room. And for me, that's my default setting. And to me, that's just kind of pure and clean. And I do that more often than not. But there are other times when, again, like I say, my background includes studying theatrical lighting design and working in a theater doing lighting design. And, sometimes I'll light people with spotlights, like Fresnel's from a grid and put colored light on the back.
For me, I'm trying to play and have fun because what's the point otherwise? When I shot at your studio, you had your colored lights, the constants.
Right.
And I had never used constants because I use flash.
Right.
And so that inspired me to get a colored constant so that it can be the backlight without the flash and the gels and stuff.
Right.
That was fun.
That was such a wonderful thing to have you and Misty in there doing that photography. And I saw you working, and when I saw the pictures, I was just stunned. You're fabulous, Hara. You're fabulous.
Well, I asked you to be here so you could tell me that on tape.
There it is. Let the record show.
After the Spokane Arts Awards, when you came up to me, I felt like I had won an Academy Award and you saying those nice things to me. I was like, I wish I had recorded it. And somebody's like, you should have Don on your podcast. And here we are.
Yeah. And I think I told you that I was down in LA visiting family and helping them with some projects around their house. And I enjoyed listening to a number of your podcasts. It was just great. Yeah. I don't know if I'll enjoy listening to this one, but
I'm sure you will, because I'm a great editor.
Okay. If you could just remove the
Oh, I do.
Yeah.
I feel like the podcast is part of my art. It is art.
Well, it is. And that's the thing that, again, makes me so jealous of you. You're doing it all. The visual, the audio, you're happening.
That's so funny you say that, because I wish I knew video, which I don't. But also, what's stopping you from doing any of those things yourself? I wanted you on this podcast because you've been a success in this industry for so long, and it is hard to be a success in this industry. So you're doing it.
I suppose, yeah. That the ancient Chinese proverb, to open a business is easy, to keep it open is hard. We seem to continue to be relevant. There's so much that I'm doing right now that, well, I mentioned we're playing with the toys of the gods, and I've got a number of really good clients, and I'm having fun with it. And it's different every day. And I think that's part of what you like about your life. It's a different day every day.
Tell me about the listening room.
Our studio is the Hamilton studio. It's located at the corner of Dean and Walnut. It was originally built as the St. Joseph School auditorium and gym. And so I like to say we bought the studio from the people that built the Vatican. And so it's a gymnasium. The school is long since closed. And when we bought the place in 85, we did quite a bit of modification, building a large cyclorama, and we blew in sound insulation so that we could do proper sound recording in there. And at that time, we never imagined it with an audience, although we'd had a number of performances there, and it always sounded great, and we were amazed. So a couple years ago, I don't know if you know Samantha Fish, but she's a terrific guitar player, and she was headlining at Pig Out at the Park. And so on Friday night, she was the main show. And then the next day, she needed to rent a space where she could rehearse with her crew a show that she was taking on the road to open for Eric Clapton. That's how good she is. Yeah. Anyway, her road manager is a fellow named Danny Bland, and he was in the space with us, and he said, "This is a listening room." I'd never heard the expression before. And he said, "Well, there's a few of them around the country, and it's a small, intimate space. And it may be the highest and best use of my studio to use it as a performance venue because the acoustics are sublime. Again, it's a small basketball court. So there's plenty of room for people. We put out cocktail tables, and the audience loves it. The performers love it. And so now it's sort of taken over our lives, and we feel an obligation to the community to keep it going. And I've described it as an experiment, and I suppose it still is. I really enjoy it. The fantasy was when I said, I think I'd like to give this a try. I was imagining Rick in Rick's Cafe American. And when I walk through there and people go, "Hey, Don, how you doing?" And I feel like that. Now, we weren't going to discuss politics, but the thing is, I'm afraid that the whole Cafe American being Rick thing has come true a little more than I expected. I love the performances that are in Casablanca, but you got to remember that at the end of the movie, he had to run away because the fascists were on the march, and that part may be getting a little too close to home.
Yeah.
You can edit that out.
I'm happy to include that. The reason I'm so sick of talking about it is because I'm scared. I've never felt this way. Just don't know what to do because nobody's doing anything.
This isn't the country I was raised in, and it's happening so fast and changing so fast. And you're scared. I'm scared. It's definitely affecting my mental health.
Same. And so that's why I'm throwing myself into the art, because it keeps me off social media.
That's exactly right. And I do love being able to walk over to my studio and just turn on jazz and turn off the news and just be able to think about what I'm doing with my lights and my cameras and creating images.
And you also are doing Theater on the Verge in your space.
Yes. We so far have done 2 productions with them, and I'm just so lucky to have blundered into Troy and Chris. Who knew that my studio was a black box theater?
It's so good. I saw the last one.
Oh, so you saw Torch Song?
Yeah, so good.
Again, I've worked in the theater for years, and to have their crew come in, their lighting operators, their sound operators, prop master, house crew, to just stand back just to watch them do it. It's a hoot. I so look forward to having them back in there. It's wonderful to have the musical acts come in, and they come in for, maybe they have a rehearsal or they just come in at sound check and we get it ready and then they go. But to have theater people in there and to be able to give them a week of technical rehearsals and really see the theater come to life, I just love it. I'm very lucky.
I feel lucky. I feel like I've infiltrated them. I've always been a fan of everybody who's done theater, and somehow now they all know me. I just love that.
Well, yeah, I mean, you belong. I've seen what you've done like for Stage Left, and I'm not sure how many other theater companies you're working for, but
that's the only one. But I did in the past do inner players back in the day, design for them, the posters.
Posters, of course. I worked with Bob and Joan. In fact, I still have a photograph I did of them years ago. They were terrific. They really had it figured out. They knew how the machine worked. Professional resident theater, they really did it the way it was supposed to be. I designed sets for them and lighting for them for a couple of years,
cool.
Way long ago.
So all your loves are kind of coming together in your space.
Well, it really is something for me to sit back and say, wow, this is theater happening. It's real theater happening, and not have to do it.
Yeah.
Having other people do it. It's terrific. Yeah.
What I think the point of this podcast is that people are scared to dream their dreams for fear of failure or whatever. You said it's easy to open and not necessarily to stay open. What is your advice to somebody who might want to pursue a dream but is scared?
Well, I think you just said it. Dream it anyway. What else are you going to do? We're all here now. We won't be forever. I see myself as the temporary custodian of the gymnasium because I fully expect it to outlast me. And so you have to decide, how do you actually want to spend your days? What's important? What do you want to accomplish? And so I think your challenge out there is an apt one. Dream anyway.
Do you mind me asking how old you are?
Oh, I'm happy to tell you. I'm 73. You say 57. I want to say, what a kid.
I know, a baby, right?
Yeah.
Right. But I do have incurable cancer, and none of my family has lived to 80. My mother passed away at 46. And so I have always thought that my days are numbered, but I have lived out loud because of that. And I'm just going to have fun till I don't have fun anymore.
You're burning the flame bright. There's that wonderful line, Clint Eastwood in Unforgiven. He and a young gunfighter are trying to get some vengeance for some, what you might call dance hall girls. Anyway, the point is that they're killing this guy that did harm to a woman. And the young gunfighter, when he's actually watching the guy die, suddenly it's not as romantic as he thought it was. And he's talking to Clint Eastwood and he said, so this guy had it coming, didn't he? And Clint Eastwood said, we all got it coming, kid. We all do. I mean, all of our conditions here are terminal. I don't want to make light of your diagnosis, but
I agree with you.
Yeah.
Even when I don't always do it, but it fascinates me when I don't, that I'm not living like I'm dying.
Yeah.
We only have so many days.
Exactly. And when you get to be my age, you know that you got fewer ahead of you than you have behind. And so, I don't want to say every day I try to be meaningful, but I am aware that I need to seize the moment and do the most. And again, to the extent that you can try to make it a better place, that's worth doing. Somebody said to me regarding our listening room, we're making community.
Mm.
And that's a very satisfying thing to see the people come in, to hear the music, to experience the theater. Okay, that was worth doing so that my people in this community can be better off. That's why next week I'll be sitting at a similar microphone pitching for Spokane Public Radio. That's an important part of our community, and contributing to them is important.
More than ever.
Yeah.
You've been doing that for how many years?
Since God was a child.
I won the Spokane Public Radio logo design contest 20 years ago or something, and they kept saying my name on air. I went into my vet. Took my kitty in to the vet, and they said, "Are you KPBX Hara?" I was like, "I'm famous."
Oh, yes, you are. It's important. The ancient Chinese curse, may you live in interesting times. Mm-hmm. Well, we're living in interesting times.
Mm-hmm. I like boring times, although I do like drama, but not mine.
Well said.
Do you have an idea of what you'd like your legacy to be?
Part of what I'm thinking right now is this whole listening room thing that has happened to us. it may be that I'd like to see the space live on beyond me, because there is something about that space. And when the community can come together to experience a play or music, I would hope that maybe I'm in a situation where I'm trying to have some longevity for that. Me, my collection of negatives and prints, who cares? That's all going to vanish. But the idea that maybe we help build something that could be of use in our community, maybe that's the legacy I'm after.
I love that. I don't see anything I've done personally as outliving me. Like, I don't even know if my kids will care. You want it to be meaningful, but I would like what you said because of that.
I've got an attic full of stuff. I've got wonderful equipment. Like, okay, I'll tell you, I just saw Get Back. Have you seen that?
Mm-mm.
You're too young to remember, but 50 years ago, when you were 7, I saw a movie called Let It Be. And now Get Back is Peter Jackson, he of The Lord of the Rings, went back to the vault, and the films that they shot when they made that, he has brought them all back to life. And you can now spend 10 hours being with the Beatles when they were writing the songs for the Let It Be album. And it's remarkable. I thought of it just because you see in this thing, it's all shot with Arriflex 16 BL cameras. I've got 3 of those things. I will never use them again, but they're too beautiful to get rid of. And to see those things being used in Get Back was really kind of fascinating to me. But I have that and a bunch of other legacy equipment that's too wonderful to get rid of, but I just don't use it anymore. Now, you know, I'm making movies with my Nikons and a 6K pocket camera and my 2,000 watt incandescent lights. I still have them, but now I'm using lightweight, cool LEDs.
Yeah.
You know, and so I'm happy to be using the new equipment, but man, I got a bunch of old stuff. I don't know what to do with it.
Yeah. It is pretty though.
Yeah.
It's solid.
Yeah.
Well, I think we did it, Don.
Thanks for having me, Hara. I've been really looking forward to chatting with you because, I'll just say it again, I'm so impressed with the work you're doing. And thanks for taking the time to sit down with me.
Well, thank you. Thanks for listening. New episodes drop every Thursday.